Alright, bonus factor number 2, upgrading your existing solar system. I want to address this topic because it's something we have to deal with virtually every week now. If you're one of those people who have actually bought an existing system before and you now need to upgrade because it simply wasn't large enough, or perhaps it was defective, I'm going to show you how to do that now. Now, there's a fallacy on the market that upgrading your existing solar system is as simple as whacking a few extra panels on the roof. And a lot of companies will actually use the sales pitch, buy a smaller system now and upgrade later when you can afford it. And a common sales package on the market is where a company will offer, say, a 1.6 kilowatt system, for example, with a 5 kilowatt upgradable inverter. And there are some major issues with these sorts of systems. If you buy a solar system, you should really buy the right number of panels to match the inverter. So if you've got 8 panels on the roof, you may also have a 1.5 kilowatt inverter, which is the equivalent size system to match. If you buy a 5 kilowatt upgradable inverter, the 8 panels often won't produce enough energy to turn the inverter over, so you can get full use out of the system. And solar systems work most efficiently when you match the panels to the right inverter size. Also, in many of these cases, upgrading becomes a technical issue too. If you plan to upgrade your system in a short period of time, then it may be easy to place the new panels on the roof along with your existing mounted panels. The trouble is that in most cases, it's not done right away, and new panels can't always be placed with old ones a few years down the track. The best way to upgrade, if you have bought a smaller system and now find it's not producing enough for your household, is simply to put another system on the roof. Buy a new inverter and panels, a separate system that will operate independently of the original one. Now, the other consideration is ETSA. They usually aren't too keen to have people upgrading the size of their systems and sending more energy down the line to the grid. They do have the power to come back and cancel your existing tariff agreement if they choose to. And let me share with you a quick story about a couple of clients we helped out in this situation. And it wasn't that long ago that we went through this with them. Now, Jim lives with his wife in Nelsheby, just outside Port Pirie, and he bought a 2 kilowatt system from another company about 2 years ago or so. He was told that his upgradable inverter would allow him to add extra panels later and that his system would take care of most of his bill now anyway. When we did the numbers, we actually worked out that his existing system was outputting approximately 2.63 kilowatts a day on average over the last 12 months. Now, I've already shared with you the numbers so that you now know that a 2 kilowatt system should do approximately 10 kilowatts a day on average. So his current system was doing less than 1/3 of what it should have been doing for that size. So we knew two things right off the bat. First, his system was obviously a poor quality one, and as he still had a bill of about $450 a quarter, it also didn't cover his electricity account, so we also knew that he had the wrong size system. So Jim had made the two biggest mistakes that 95% of consumers make. Not his fault, he just followed the advice he was given, but nonetheless he ended up paying for it. So we did a site inspection to work out if there was any room to put up a new system. We didn't touch the old one. Our numbers showed us that he needed approximately a 5 kilowatt system. So we went about organising that for him. Now, you have to understand, Jim is on a pension. He had already forked out a substantial amount of money for what he now knew was an ineffective system, and he didn't do what he wanted. And here I was asking him for more money to do it properly. Now, we went through the numbers first as usual, and we worked out that he would still be in front financially, but he was still reluctant, and as most of us would probably be in his situation, I imagine. Eventually he agreed that something had to be done, and he decided to correct his mistake. And look, long story short, he got a new system installed on the roof, and second quarter after the system was installed, the results was that he had no bill and he actually had a very small credit. Now, he had never had a credit for the entire 2 years that he had had the other system. Now, Jim put me onto a mate of his, Robbie, in Bullaroo Centre up Flinders Ranges way. Same story, but with a different company again. He had a 3 kilowatt system installed about 18 months previous to Jim's recommendation, and once again it didn't eliminate his bill. His 3 kilowatt system was outputting on average 7 kilowatts a day instead of 15. Remember, 3 kilowatts times 5 daylight hours is 15 average daily kilowatts, so that's what he should have been getting. Instead he was getting around about 7. And once again, he thought he had got a good deal with his system, but he'd made the two biggest mistakes that Jim had made, and in fact most people make. Robbie was a little easier to convince once we'd worked out the numbers, because his mate Jim had got such a good result. So we put up just over 5 kilowatts, if I remember correctly, and the first quarter after his system was installed, he received a credit of over $200. The second quarter, his credit actually jumped to over $1,400. So, look, fair to say Robbie was over the moon as well. In fact, Jim was doubly excited as he received a $500 referral bonus from us too. So I can tell you he's talked to a lot of neighbours since. Anyway, the point of the story is that both of these clients paid twice to finally get it done right, and it was still financially viable for them. So, look, upgrading can be done correctly, but if you haven't bought a system yet, don't get caught into the trap of buying an upgradable package. It's a load of nonsense. Just make sure you get the right size system the first time round. If you are in the market for an upgradable system, just talk to your coach and we'll walk through the process and go through the numbers so that you don't get caught out a second time.